AITA for telling my sister that her relationship is a sunk cost for him? I told my sister straight to her face that her relationship is nothing but a sunk cost for him, and now she won't even speak to me. That's exactly what I said, and the silence that followed was so heavy I could almost hear her heart breaking. Her mouth fell open, her eyes filled with tears, and then she whispered, "So you really think I've wasted years of my life?" I didn't even answer because at that point, I wasn't sure if she wanted the truth or just comfort. The last thing I saw before she stormed out of my apartment was her hands trembling as she clutched her phone like it was the only thing keeping her steady. And here's the thing. What I said wasn't random. It came after years of me watching her hold on to a man who, honestly, I don't even think respects her anymore. But before I get ahead of myself, let me back up a little and explain how we got here. My sister, Amanda, fake name obviously, is 2 years younger than me. She's always been the type to pour her whole self into her relationships, to the point where she forgets she has a life outside the man she's dating. The guy in question here is Jason. They've been together for 6 years, but the last 3 years have been rocky. And when I say rocky, I don't mean small fights about chores or forgetting anniversaries. I mean breakups, crying at 2 a.m., begging him to stay, and then pretending everything was fine when they got back together. I'll admit, in the beginning, Jason was charming. He had this way of making everyone laugh at family gatherings, and he treated Amanda like a princess. But that version of him has long disappeared. These days, he barely texts her back, cancels plans last minute, and even told her outright once that if she left, he wouldn't chase. That last one burned me the most because Amanda still stayed after hearing it. About 2 months ago, Amanda came to me in tears. She said she was worried Jason was pulling away again and that she didn't know what to do. I listened. I really did. I've been her shoulder to cry on too many times to count. But what struck me that day was how tired she looked. She wasn't just sad, she was drained, like she had been pouring herself into a bucket with a hole at the bottom. I asked her if Jason had given her any reason to think he was actually still in this relationship with her. She hesitated. Then she admitted that he hadn't called her in a week and had ignored her messages about planning their anniversary. That's when I lost my cool a little. I told her, "Amanda, this whole thing is a sunk cost for him. He's not investing anymore, but you are. You're clinging to what you've already spent, not realizing he checked out a long time ago." The second the words left my mouth, I knew I had gone too far. Her face went pale, and she looked at me like I had just ripped away the last piece of hope she was holding on to. And honestly, maybe I did, but isn't that better than watching her drown slowly? That night, after she left, she didn't pick up any of my calls, she didn't reply to my texts. Even Mom called me the next day asking what I had said to Amanda, because apparently Amanda had been crying on the phone saying she felt like even her own sister gave up on her. Now I feel torn. Was I too harsh? Should I have just hugged her and let her keep pretending Jason still cares? Or was it about time someone told her the truth, even if it cut her? Because here's the part I didn't expect. Amanda hasn't spoken to me since then. She hasn't come over. She hasn't even shared memes with me like she usually does. The only thing I've heard from her is through Mom, who says Amanda is rethinking everything. But rethinking in what direction? I have no idea. Did my words finally wake her up, or did they push her straight back into Jason's arms? And just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, I found out something last week that made my stomach drop. Jason has been talking to someone else. I don't know if Amanda knows yet, I don't know if I should tell her, and I don't know if me telling her would finally break her or finally free her. But I do know this. The next time I see Amanda, it won't just be about what I said to her. It will be about what Jason has been hiding from her. And I can't predict how she's going to react. The thing about secrets is that they never stay hidden forever. And Jason's secret? It landed in my lap by accident. It started when one of my coworkers, Melissa, pulled me aside at lunch and said, "Hey, isn't your sister dating Jason? I saw him last week with some girl at the mall, and they did not look like just friends." At first, I brushed it off. People jump to conclusions all the time. But then she showed me a picture she had snapped, and my heart sunk. It was Jason, holding hands with a girl I'd never seen before, smiling like he hadn't smiled at Amanda in years. That moment was like a punch to the stomach. I didn't even know how to breathe, let alone how to respond. My sister was at home probably crying herself to sleep over him not texting, while this guy was out parading around with someone else like he was single. For the next 2 days, I didn't say a word. I kept asking myself, should I tell Amanda? Should I keep it to myself? What if she broke her beyond repair? What if, worse, she didn't believe me and cut me off forever? But then something strange happened. Amanda called me. It was the first time she had reached out since our fight. Her voice was shaky, and she asked me if I could come over. Of course, I said yes. When I arrived at her apartment, I was expecting more tears, maybe a fight, maybe silence. But what I found instead shook me in a way I didn't expect. Amanda wasn't crying. She was glowing. Her face looked lighter, her eyes brighter. She told me Jason had finally called her and they had talked for hours. She said he told her he still loved her and was just going through stress at work. She was convinced things were getting better. I sat there, nodding, forcing myself to smile while my stomach churned. She was holding on to hope again, hope that I now knew was built on lies. In that moment, I realized I couldn't just blurt out the truth. I had to wait. I had to figure out how to show her in a way that wouldn't make her hate me forever. So I listened. I let her ramble about how Jason had promised to take her out this weekend, how he said he wanted to reset their relationship. She even laughed, saying maybe I was wrong about it being a sunk cost. And then she looked me dead in the eye and asked me, "Do you still think I'm wasting my time with him?" I froze. My mouth went dry. All I could say was, "I just want you to be happy, Amanda." She smiled and hugged me like we had finally mended things, but inside I felt like I was betraying her by not telling her the truth. For a few days, things were calm. Amanda and Jason started posting couple pictures again on Instagram. Mom even called me saying, "See, they're working it out. Maybe you were too harsh." But then, here comes the storm. On Friday night, around 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from Amanda. "Why didn't you tell me?" That was it. 4 words. My heart started racing. I tried calling her, but she didn't pick up. Then my phone buzzed again. It was a screenshot. Jason, at a restaurant, with the same girl from Melissa's photo. Amanda had found out. And the worst part, she thought I knew all along and kept it from her. I sat there staring at my phone, my chest tight, wondering how I was going to fix this. Because at that moment, Amanda wasn't just heartbroken, she was furious. Not just at Jason, but at me. And when I finally called again, and she picked up, the first words out of her mouth made my blood run cold. "You knew, didn't you?" Her voice was sharp, almost breaking, but filled with anger. My throat tightened. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out at first. Finally, I whispered, "Amanda, I didn't know right away. I only found out recently." Silence. Dead silence. Then a laugh. Cold, shaky, bitter. "So you found out, and instead of telling me, you let me keep embarrassing myself? You sat there and let me gush about him while he was cheating?" The pain in her words cut through me worse than any scream. I tried to explain, "I was trying to protect you. I didn't want to throw it at you without proof. I wanted to find the right time." "The right time?" she snapped. "The right time to tell me I'm nothing but a fool?" I could hear her sobbing now, but the anger didn't leave her voice. She accused me of keeping it from her because I didn't want to be wrong about what I'd said earlier, that her relationship was a sunk cost. She thought I was using this as a way to prove a point. That accusation hit me harder than I expected. Did she really think I would ever enjoy being right about something that was tearing her apart? I tried to tell her no, that wasn't it, that I only ever wanted the best for her. But she wasn't listening anymore. She ended the call with, "I don't know if I can forgive you for this." When the line went dead, I sat there, staring at the wall, numb. For the first time, I realized I wasn't just fighting Jason for Amanda's heart. I was fighting Amanda herself. The next day, I thought maybe she'd calm down. Maybe she'd call me back. She didn't. Instead, Mom showed up at my apartment unannounced. She sat down on my couch, folded her arms, and said, "What did you do?" Apparently, Amanda had gone to Mom crying, saying I betrayed her, that I had kept secrets about Jason. Mom, of course, took her side. "You should have told her," she said, her voice stern. "Sisters don't keep things like that from each other." I felt like I was being ambushed. I tried to explain that I was only trying to protect Amanda from breaking down even more, but Mom shook her head. "Protect her? You hurt her worse by staying silent." For the first time in a long time, I felt like the bad guy. Not Jason, the actual cheater, but me, for holding my tongue. The days that followed were heavy. Amanda blocked me on Instagram. She stopped answering my texts. Even when I dropped by her place, she wouldn't open the door. It was like I had been erased from her life completely. That was the low point. The silence. The waiting. The not knowing. But then came the twist I didn't see coming. One evening, I was scrolling through my phone when a notification popped up. Someone had tagged me in a Facebook post. Curious, I clicked it. It was Amanda. And the post? A long, emotional paragraph where she exposed Jason for cheating. She shared screenshots, tagged his name, and even called out the girl he'd been with. The comment section was already exploding with friends and family reacting. My stomach flipped as I read the last line of her post. And to make things worse, my own sister knew and didn't tell me. Now the whole world knew. And within minutes, my phone started blowing up with messages from family, friends, and even old classmates asking me if it was true, if I really had known and stayed quiet. In one night, Amanda hadn't just cut me off. She had dragged me into the spotlight, making me look like I'd betrayed her in front of everyone. And I had no idea how to come back from that. Within hours of Amanda's Facebook post, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me, "Is it true?" Friends were asking, "Why would you keep that from her?" Even coworkers pulled me aside whispering like I had committed some terrible crime. But the worst part was the comment section. People who didn't even know the full story were piling on. How could her own sister betray her like that? Family should always come first. This is why women can't trust anyone, not even their own blood. Reading those words made my chest tighten. I wanted to scream at the screen, tell them they didn't know the whole truth. But what good would that do? Amanda had already framed the story. In her eyes, and now in everyone else's, I wasn't her sister who tried to protect her. I was the sister who kept a secret. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying our last conversation. The anger in her voice, the accusation, the betrayal. I thought about how we grew up together, sharing secrets, sneaking out of the house as teenagers, laughing until our stomachs hurt. And now, one post had torn years of sisterhood apart. The next morning, I decided I couldn't just hide. I drove to Amanda's apartment. When I knocked on her door, she didn't answer at first. I knocked again, harder this time, and finally the door creaked open. Amanda stood there, eyes swollen from crying, but her face hardened when she saw me. "What do you want?" she asked flatly. "I came to talk," I said, my voice low. "There's nothing left to say. You chose your silence over me." Her words stung, but I pushed forward. "Amanda, I didn't stay silent because I didn't care. I stayed silent because I didn't want to crush you without being sure. I wanted to protect you, even if it meant you hated me for it." For a second, her face softened, but then she shook her head. "You don't get it. You're supposed to be my safe place, and you let me walk into humiliation blind." That broke me, because in that moment I realized no explanation would ever undo what she felt. The conversation ended with her slamming the door in my face. I walked back to my car, tears burning my eyes. I had never felt so alone. That was the quieter part, the sinking realization that maybe I had lost my sister forever. But then, just as I was trying to breathe through the ache, my phone rang. The caller ID made my stomach flip. It was Jason. I answered, and his voice came through sharp, angry, and threatening. "You ruined my life. You think you're some kind of hero? Do you know what you have done? You have made me the villain to everyone. You better watch yourself." My blood ran cold, because in his voice, I heard something I hadn't before. Rage. Not just at Amanda, but at me. And in that moment, I realized the drama between sisters was about to turn into something much darker. Jason's words echoed in my ear long after the call ended. "You better watch yourself." My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I sat there in my car, heart pounding, trying to process what had just happened. Jason had always played the cool, charming guy around the family. But on that call, he wasn't even pretending anymore. His voice dripped with venom. And for the first time, I realized he wasn't just toxic. He was dangerous. I thought about calling Amanda immediately, warning her. But then another thought struck me. What if she didn't believe me? What if she thought I was just trying to scare her away from him? I didn't have to wonder long, because less than an hour later, Amanda called me herself. Her voice was different this time, shaken, trembling. "He just showed up at my place," she whispered. My stomach dropped. "Jason?" "Yes," she said. "He was banging on my door, yelling, saying I ruined his reputation. He said you poisoned me against him. I didn't even let him in, but he wouldn't leave. My neighbor had to come out and threaten to call the cops." Hearing that, my protective instincts flared. "Amanda, this is exactly what I was afraid of. He's not safe for you. He's not safe for anyone." For the first time in weeks, she didn't snap back. She didn't accuse me. She just cried. Between sobs, she said, "I gave him 6 years of my life. 6 years, and he didn't even respect me enough to end things before running around with someone else. And I still stayed. I feel like such a fool." That was the quiet moment. The one where my sister finally let the truth sink in. Not just about Jason, but about herself. About the years she had wasted, the signs she had ignored, and the hope she had clung to when it was already dead. I told her she wasn't a fool. I told her love makes people do things that don't always make sense, but what mattered was that she saw it now, that she had the chance to walk away. For the first time, Amanda said the words I thought I'd never hear. "I'm done with him." It felt like a crack of sunlight breaking through after months of storm clouds. But just when I thought the worst was over, the night took a darker turn. Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed again. It was a message from an unknown number. The text read, "If she leaves me, I'll make sure you both regret it." No name, no signature. But I didn't need one. I knew exactly who it was. Jason wasn't done. And as I sat there in the dark, phone clutched in my hand, I realized this wasn't just about Amanda's heartbreak anymore. This was about our safety. Because Jason had crossed a line, and none of us knew just how far he was willing to go. Amanda finally cut things off with Jason for good. It wasn't easy. He kept trying to reach out, showing up at her job, even calling from different numbers. But after the threatening texts, we got the police involved. She filed a report, and thankfully, with some pressure from family and neighbors, he's backed off. It's been tough rebuilding my relationship with Amanda. She's still hurt that I didn't tell her sooner, but little by little, we've been talking again. She admitted that deep down, she always knew something was wrong, but she wasn't ready to face it until everything blew up. As for me, I'm relieved she's finally free from him, but I also learned a hard lesson. Sometimes protecting someone doesn't mean holding back. It means being honest, even if it hurts. We're not fully back to how we used to be, but at least now, Amanda and I are on the same side again. And that's a start.